Hi everyone, and welcome to CBRE FlexCast, our thought leadership docuseries where we feature the pioneers of the Indian flex industry and bring their stories, vision, and capabilities to the world. I'm Pulkit Bakshi, Head Flexible Workspace Solutions at CBRE India, and today I'm at a SmartWorks managed campus in Bangalore, where we shall be meeting the SmartWorks founders for an engaging conversation about their company and their views on the past, present, and future of the flex industry in India. So with that quick introduction, let's finally meet the SmartWorks leadership and begin this episode. Hey Neetish, welcome to FlexCast. Massive place you've got out here, man.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome to the world's largest flex space.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
700 and change thousand square foot spread across 2 towers with over about 15 to 16,000 seats in it.
Wow. And how full is it currently?
Currently, it's at about 85% occupancy. So you've got on a daily basis about 8,500, 9,000 people coming here already. And then it's going to go up to about 12, 13,000. A couple of floors are under construction. But as soon as that comes in, it'll go up to about 12, 13,000 people on a daily basis coming to the building.
And broadly, how old is this place?
We signed it's divided into 2 towers. So we signed the first tower in October and it became operational around November or December. And then the second tower we signed in April and it's getting operational. It got operational in May, end of May.
Interesting. That's quite fast. So basically around 10,000 seats in less than 10 months is what you've got around.
It's been a good journey for this building. I think the location works very well. A lot of the clients who were our existing clients actually took up a significant portion of the building and not pre-committed, but were interested in the space and we could fill it up very quickly.
You know, that makes me ask, right? By some people, you're known as the person who pioneered the flex or managed campus concept in India and maybe perhaps the world. So how did that come about to be? How did you think of this model and why did you pursue it?
No, I thought, really for us, co-working was something that didn't really work out, right? When we also started, pretty much like everyone else, everyone talks about journey, for us it wasn't journey, it was a roller coaster ride, right? There were so many ups and downs which had really happened, but I think we also started pretty much like a co-working where we did a floor in a building. We realized that there wasn't really much of a differentiator. And for us, with our exposure, both me and Harsh have studied abroad. We went to the offices of, some of the large corporates and seen their campuses. The amenities that you're able to provide in a large setup that cannot be replicated in some of the smaller formats. So we were always ambitious to go after the large formats. I think for us, we don't like to think of ourselves as just providing workstation and chairs. We like to think of ourselves as providing an experience. When we look at a building, we're looking at people coming and spending 10 hours in the building. They need to spend 10 hours not just working, right? They need to have some sort of a breakout area. You need to have amenities like our gaming zones. There's like cricket, futsal, there's theaters, all of those amenities that people can see or spend some time of their day within those spaces, right? And I think the biggest philosophy that we were going after was the more amenities that you can provide in a setup like this, the more likely the client is to attract better talent within those facilities, right? So our focus has always been not just getting the client, but also making sure that the employees of the client are as happy in the space as possible.
A lot of the names that I read on your headmask there are organizations that otherwise have built and can build good offices for them anywhere in the country, right? So why are these companies choosing to go for a managed office model instead of their own offices? And in that also, why do they end up choosing SmartWorks essentially?
Honestly, in this era that we are in, right, who wants to have the hassle of running their own offices when it's not their core business, right?
Correct.
If you look at most of the clients who are sitting with us, whether it's a technology company or a BFSI, creating offices is an added cost on their business, right? And workspaces have now become, the flexibility requirement in workspaces has gone up significantly. If you look at people taking up contracts for 3 years, they don't want to make an office for 3 years if they have a contract for 3 years, right? It doesn't make sense for you to spend that much time, effort, and money on creating those infrastructure, right? If someone like us can come in, provide them a solution, and not only provide them a solution in a location, but provide them a solution across 14 cities in the country, which is pretty much standardized, right? Every center of SmartWorks that you go to, you're going to have the same amenities that you're seeing in this building, whether units, the gyms, the crashes, the cafeterias, all of this will be replicated in every center. If you can create a standardized experience for a customer who's looking at multiple offices and some flexibility in their take-ups, why won't they come to a provider like us, right? If you look at how service departments have really shared in shared economy, look at what Uber and Ola have done in the market, right? They've been able to create, by value engineering your cars and the utilization of the cars. We are doing the same thing in office spaces, right? You're just value engineering, taking out those part of your offices which you don't use on a regular basis, put it out on the common area so that 20 other people can use it, and then giving that benefit back to the customers while providing the flexibility.
Oh, absolutely. And while we look around some of the other amenities that you were talking about, the other question that I had, right? So some people may have a perception that a flex office in the long run, right, or a managed office, essentially can be a very expensive offering. And the reason for which is, of course, the operators charging a premium over everything. So they're sometimes wary of going for this kind of product in the long run. So my question is that, how do you remain financially, because you mentioned, right, some people sign up with you for 3 years, some people for 5 years. How do you remain financially viable for those customers over this?
Our ambition is, again, to be more economical than traditional office spaces, right? And that's what we are continuously working towards. How can we reduce our cost of operations? How can we reduce our cost of construction? Because at the end of the day, if you want a customer to stick with you for a long term, you can't ask premium for flexibility. The secret sauce is you give them at a discounted rate and provide them the flexibility. That is why you can scale up much quicker. And that's one of the reasons that we take up large formats like this and are able to fill it up in 5 to 6 months, right? Because we show the value addition to the customer, that when they enter into this facility, they are getting all of these amenities, which typically they won't have been able to find unless and until they go to a large tech park and take up a large space. They won't have been able to find these amenities. You're finding this at a fraction of a cost, right? So our entire mantra is not to be a premium, super premium product, a very value priced product, which makes sure that the customer are also sticking with us for long terms. And that's why you'll see most of the customers who come with us we don't do co-working deals with 40, 50 seats. Our average seats are about 300 seats per customer. And the average lock-in tenure is north of 3 years.
So, Neetish, great insight on the origin of the managed campus concept. But I'm curious to know what is the origin story of Smartworks, right? How did you come about making this company or thinking about it?
I actually started Smartworks right out of college. I was studying in America and then Singapore. And then I came back to India in end of 2015. In 2016, when I was thinking about Smartworks, I went to a few offices, and offices were quite boring here in India. Like, there was nothing much to do there, right? It was just workstation and chairs. You're not really creating an environment in which people can engage or talk to each other. And honestly, when I initially started, I thought co-working was the solution, right? Because you could see how a co-working space could create a vibrant environment where people can engage better, right? But we realized very quickly that co-working wasn't really something that's scalable in India. The Indian thesis is very different. You've got volumes here, you've got people in which decision makers are the ones who are actually sitting in this space. So I wanted to create a model which works both for engagement as well as is value conscious, so that too much engagement is also not there, right? Because some of the large enterprises, they don't want their employees to be constantly engaging with others, right? They also want them to work. So you needed to create a balance. So we thought of this concept in which, can you create a product which is the best of both worlds, right? It gets you the best from traditional office spaces and gets you the best from flexible workspaces. So in our heads, we like to think of ourselves as best of the both worlds, right? And the amenities that you provide within these facilities, like look at we have this thing called the smart store, right? Now this is basically 10,000, 12,000 people coming in the building. They have consumables. People can order, they can come and buy it from here. People can order groceries, order it online here, while going back home, just pick up the bag and take it home, right? All of those amenities we're solving for people. Similarly, look at like food. That's a big thing for us. Again, we offer lunch, breakfast, dinner. People can just order food on their app, come here, pick up their thalis whenever they want to. They then subscribe to meal, or they can order from some of the other kiosks, right? You've got 5 or 6 different options spread across
And these are different vendors you've partnered with?
They're all different vendors with different cuisines that we've partnered with. That also we try to make it as informative to the client as possible, get a lot of feedback from the customers wherever possible. All of this is done through our technology platform.
Thanks, Neetish, for that treat. So yes, like you were talking about, a lot of this can happen for people as an experience because of the scale you've been able to build, because of the size of facilities you have. But was this inspired from somewhere? Like, for example, I know you didn't like the concept of offices in India when you came in, but since you studied in the US and then you went to Singapore, did you see something similar outside which sort of inspired you to make this kind of a product?
I don't know if I saw something similar in terms of the entire aspect of what SmartWorks is today, but I think obviously we learned from bits and pieces of what we saw in different locations, in places where there are large crowds. How do you handle that in order to entice people? Like, for example, the food, what are the things that you can use to entice people or create that happiness factor coming in? All of these have been learning from different aspects of life, right? It's not just how does design very, very important in our office spaces. All of those things have been learning from different places. I won't say that I saw a model which I replicated here, right? Because I don't think India works that way, right? You can't get a Western model here and just replicate it and hope that it works here, right? It is very difficult. The Indian mindset, the consumer mindset is very, very different. You need to understand that consumer mindset, make it as Indian as possible before creating a product here.
Do you sometimes feel that you compete with developers or large tech parks in some locations, or not? Or
no, controversial question, but no, I think honestly we don't think of ourselves competing with just flex spaces, right? For us, actually 80 to 90% of our customers are customers who are looking at traditional office spaces or who are within campus office settings, and they want to shift their offices or have a standardized office experience across the country. So we typically compete with traditional office spaces. I won't say that we compete with co-working or managed office solutions because if you look at this building, right, 38 customers, almost 32 to 33 of them have come from other traditional office spaces. They've left their own traditional office space and moved into our setup. So it's not like they're moving from co-working to co-working or they're just starting their businesses here. So it's more companies who understand what they want in their office space. We give them more value-added services by getting into our ecosystem, and then they're moving those traditional office space into SmartWorks.
Got it. And does that make you sometimes want to buy or build your own buildings to have a future SmartWorks?
Why not? The aspiration is obviously there. The eventual aim obviously of SmartWorks is to create that entire ecosystem, in which we are able to deliver not only just the space but also other services. And for that, if we acquire buildings in the future, currently we own a couple of buildings that we work with SmartWorks, but the idea is we're going faster at this point of time, and our focus is always going to be towards leasing these buildings. But if the opportunity comes and you're able to create an entire experience from the sketch, then why not?
Neetish, as always, it's been a very engaging and insightful discussion with you, and thank you for answering all of my questions so vividly.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into the first SmartWorks episode of FlexCast. We'll be back again with part 2 with Mr. Harsh Binani. So stay tuned.